Hello everybody.
Welcome.
So we are going to be talking about something that many of you have requested from William regarding his family and becoming Muslim and kind of like what their reaction was. We're going to do a little bit of a story time for you today because a lot of you people want to know. Let's get right into it. So when did you become Muslim?
I became Muslim in the summer of 2009.
Okay, so it's been like 11 years?
12 years, almost 12 years.
Oh, 12 years is a long time.
A very long time.
So what year did you tell your parents that you became Muslim?
No idea.
But you didn't though, right?
I didn't right away.
Yeah. So what was your reasoning for not telling them right away?
So the biggest reason for me is that I knew that if I were to say, hey guys, I'm Muslim, they would have looked at me like, are you crazy? And they would have had, and they did have, a lot of questions. And those questions are the same questions that I had prior to Islam, or that most kind of non-affiliated people tend to have, which are very basic, but we call them like hard questions, difficult questions.
Yeah.
So I needed to be able to answer those questions. And that's why it took me some time before I felt confident enough to be able to say, this is what I am. And also, I wanted to take the time, as a Muslim, it shouldn't be that you just say, I'm a Muslim and nothing changes about yourself. You have to work on yourself. You have to make an effort to change who you are for the better.
Like your character. So
Absolutely.
like over time, I'm sure they probably noticed like you weren't eating the same food as them, right?
I would assume so.
You weren't celebrating Christmas anymore, fasting in the month of Ramadan, things like that. So like when did they pick up on just like that you were different or that you were
They've always
not different, but like
known I was different.
Yeah, like you know what I mean. Like when did they start? Did they kind of like get an idea?
Not in the beginning. Not in the beginning, because even like for the first, let's see, it was 2009. The first couple of years, even myself, I wasn't really like, I didn't just like become like a monk. It took me a few years to be able to really start practicing fully.
Yeah. Then you started growing the beard. Since
like April of 2012.
Yeah.
Obviously, I trim it and keep it neat and tidy so I don't look like a scary bushman.
So there was like no like actual moment where you were like, guys, I want you to know I'm not an atheist anymore.
Yeah.
I believe in God. Like what? Like what? Was there like a moment like that?
There was a phone call.
Okay.
I don't remember what it was about. There was some drama taking place, and I was talking with my mom, and I remember that very clearly. And I said, look, I said that I'm a Muslim, and you guys need to know that. And her response was hilarious. She said, "What do you think? We're stupid?" Which is essentially kind of...
So they knew.
They knew, which was how I wanted it to go. I wanted them to see something different. I wanted them to see the change within me, and I hope that's the reason why. And then it wasn't just, something else, just a guess. But yeah.
Did you go deep into it with them?
No.
Like ever?
No.
So you've never actually gone deep into why? It's just kind of just been assumed that you're Muslim, and we'll leave it at that.
Basically.
Yeah.
Yeah. Because in the beginning there was a few times where it kind of got a little bit heated between me and my dad. Him saying things and then me either not being comfortable enough to answer those things as I am now and can do quite fluently and be able to answer in a way that makes sense to people. We kind of just left it at that, honestly. There was no... we didn't have a lot of really in-depth conversations, which, looking back, I regret.
So he's saying he regrets because his dad did pass away a few years ago. I think it was 2 years ago now.
Yeah, Christmas Day 2018.
Yeah, I remember that day.
Like a month before we moved out here to Ontario.
So because of that, I know, just looking at you two, you guys were like best friends. You guys talked so much. When you guys would talk, it was just like non-stop talking. Like you guys are just chitter chatter boxes, and your dad had a lot of stories and a lot of history and a lot of amazing things to share, and I wish our kids could have gotten to know him a little bit more, and even though they weren't Muslim, or even though he wasn't Muslim, like just being able to understand like the roots of where you came from, how you were raised, because you were raised a certain way, and like I'm super grateful for the way that you were raised, being such an awesome dad.
Thanks, Mom and Dad.
Awesome husband, and alhamdulillah, it's worked out really well. But there's a lot of just like untold stuff.
Absolutely. That's the hardest part, right? Is that, you know, when you grow up, and my dad is a great storyteller.
Oh yeah.
Kind of forget, you know, we get so busy in our lives that we don't understand that there's going to be a time when that person is going to be gone from our life, and all of the stories and all of the experiences and are going to be gone with them. And you know, I think like you said, right, like even me as a kid, right, I don't have any of those stories of what my parents were going through or what they were, you know, perceiving me as, or
but you kind of want to know like where the characteristics came about, like how your dad was so caring, and you know how him and your mom were married for like 30 plus years, and like where that came from. 40 years? Yeah. Wow, that's amazing. That's crazy. But like just like those little things, you know. So leading into that, we want to thank Storyworth for sponsoring this video, because it is so relevant to your story.
Absolutely.
And actually, if you guys don't know what Storyworth is, they are an online service where, like, for your, like, say your mom, your dad, your grandpa, grandma, it doesn't matter who, they, just somebody that's important to you, a figure in your life that's important to you. Storyworth shares very thought-provoking questions to them every single week, and then at the end of the year, like after the whole year is done, they compile it into an amazing book with their own pictures and all of those stories that you would like not think to tell.
Yeah, it's an incredible thing that most certainly I wish I knew about or wish existed a few years ago. To be able to have, you know, like a hard copy book of your father's memories, in my case,
yeah,
you know, my father's experiences, is something that it's honestly, it's invaluable. Like to be able to have that and be able to pass down to your kids. Like, you know, like my youngest, she never even really got to know my dad at all.
Yeah, I know. And that's why I think it's such a brilliant idea, because, you know, every single week they get a new question. And I'm actually going to read you some of the questions that they send. By the way, these questions are customizable. So let's say they send your mom a question one week that doesn't really resonate with them or whatever. You can actually edit that question before it's sent to them. So if there's something specific that you want to know about your mom, maybe about your mom and dad or something, like something about their history or how they met, or it doesn't matter, you can edit that before it's sent. So like, here's some of the questions. Like, what store did you love to go to as a child? Just something as simple as that, like the corner store, this or that.
What's the answer to that question for you?
For me, what store did I love to go to as a child? The dollar store.
Dollar store, interesting.
Yeah. How has the country changed during your lifetime? What was your weekend tradition when you were a kid?
What are your favorite recipes to cook or to eat? At what time in your life were you the happiest, and why?
That's amazing.
They're
so thoughtful. Like, honestly, so thoughtful. I love that so much.
They're gonna ask the question, and your parents or that special person in your life is going to basically write a paragraph or a story about that question, which you know could be, depending who it is, it could be a huge thing that you're gonna learn so much about that person.
So much.
Yeah.
It really like makes them dig deep into memories and things that they wouldn't think to think about. And then, like I said, like at the end of the year, they compile it into a book with their pictures and they send it to you. And obviously we don't have one in front of us right now because it takes a year to compile, right? But it's so brilliant. So if you're like us, you guys, and you want to give this to one of your parents, give your mom the most sweetest, meaningful gift this Mother's Day with Storyworth. Get started right away without the need for any shipping. Plus, you get $10 off by going to storyworth.com/Saleh. And trust us when we say this is so sweet and so thoughtful. Your parents will absolutely love it. So how hard has it been for you being away from your mom? Because since we moved to Ontario, you haven't seen your mom.
Correct.
Whatsoever. Must be really hard.
Yeah, it is, definitely. That, you know, I'm a mama's boy as a kid, so it's really tough to not see your mom for almost 2.5 years now. You know, my kids are kind of growing up, and you know they don't have that connection or association, which is something that book would be able to be, you know, the kids, because we love to read. We always read to our kids. Our kids love to read. You know, so to be able to have a storybook about their grandparents would be,
it's just amazing.
Pretty incredible.
It's such a sentimental gift that honors your parents in such a way that, you know, it's something that we could cherish forever. It's something that we could have forever in our family. And I only wish we could have done that with your dad, because like we said, like he was a storyteller and he had so many stories. It's truly amazing.
So at the end of the day, that it's just an incredible gift to give someone.
Especially for Mother's Day coming up.
Yeah. I know that if it would have been for me, and if I would have been given something like that, about my dad, it's a priceless gift. That, I mean, it's invaluable. You can't buy that. You can't, no matter how much money you have, you can never, relive those experiences or know what your parents thought about a certain thing.
And the funny thing is you can edit the question, so you can say something like, "What was your first thoughts about when I became a Muslim, Mom?" Or, "What do you think about my kids being Muslim?" Or just like little things like that. You could ask that, and without judgment, she can write it out and pour her heart out and like explain all that stuff to you, and then that could be compiled in a book. It's truly like
amazing. Even like in my situation where my father has passed away, there's still, I mean, they were married for 40 plus years, so there's still so many stories that
I know. You probably don't even know about.
Well, you could customize the questions to incorporate your dad as much as you wanted to in the book, right? It's unbelievable. So I mean, it's definitely something that we're gonna do. So we would encourage all of you, just after watching this video, and know that there is something out there like that.
Yeah. So kind of going back into, how you talk to your parents about becoming Muslim, is there anything that you would have done differently? I'm just wondering.
I mean, hindsight's 20/20, right? You can come up with a huge list of things you wish you would have done or wish you would have said. Having, obviously, the perspective on my faith that I have now back then, I think would have been a much better segue into, teaching my parents about what is the religion of Islam, who are Muslims. I did the best that I could. And again, with my father being my best friend, I never wanted to infringe on that relationship. Of not just being friends, but as a father and a son. So I had to kind of tread lightly, because I didn't want to destroy that relationship, or because again, my father is very much anti-religion. But again, towards the end of his life, things started to change. He became obviously more soft of a person, knowing that time is limited. One of the first things he said when he came out of his coma is that he wanted to go to the masjid. So
really?
Yeah.
I don't remember that.
Yeah. So.
Wow.
These things, again, guys, these are things that you never get back. Experiences, you're never going to get them back.
All right, guys, I hope you enjoyed this little story time of kind of understanding where Will came from and kind of like what his parents' reaction was. Let us know what you think in the comments. And if you are in a similar situation, we would love to hear your story and how you broke it to your parents. If you did become Muslim or are in the process of becoming Muslim, and how your family reacted. And we will catch you in our next video.
Absolutely.